So just a couple of days ago, I made a video talking about the Sword and Shield booster box market and how the market has seemingly cooled off. There's really no signs of huge price increases. We had a few days to a week of Sword and Shield booster boxes going crazy, everybody talking about them. There's a lot of hype. But since then, and since the TCG player sale, prices have not gone up at all. Sales volume has been pretty low, and prices have actually continued to dip since the TCG player sale. I talked about the TCG player sale, how during that day a lot of boxes sold, but so much was listed to the point where prices didn't go up at all. They actually slightly went down, and we are just continuing to see that. And there's just really no signs, in my opinion, that this market is going to have a crazy run up again. In my opinion, I feel like in the next month or two here, if Sword and Shield continues to not have any crazy price movements, which I think is probably going to be the case here, prices may dip a little bit more, and that may be a good time to buy some of these Sword and Shield booster boxes, because I think there will be another run up for these. Obviously, in my opinion, I feel like if it doesn't happen during the summer, I think it's probably going to happen towards the end of the year. In my opinion, I feel like Scarlet and Violet during the summer here is probably going to move more than Sword and Shield. That's just my thoughts. So during this time period, it may be smart to pick up some Sword and Shield. I know before, when prices were going crazy, it was a little bit, you might have been a little bit hesitant to buy anything because the price movements are crazy. But since things have cooled off, prices have slightly dipped. Honestly, buying some now if you can find any good deals, or waiting a little bit more wouldn't be a bad idea to buy some of these boxes, because a lot of them have dropped in price. So I just want to cover some of these boxes here. So let's just start off with Chilling Reign. So Chilling Reign right now, lowest listed is $415. If you see recent sales, they've been selling for a little bit more than that. But you can see here, though, since the TCG player sale, look at the sales volume has been extremely low for Chilling Reign. Really no signs of crazy movement here. And yeah, if you go and see how many boxes there are under $500, I think a lot more has been added. Like, there's all this page. I think the next page here, it does hit it right here. I think it does hit it, but there's a lot of boxes. I'm not going to count, but I mean, if you look at the sales volume, it's probably going to sit here, in my opinion, in the low to mid 400s. At one point, before it dipped, it was close to $500, but yeah, now it's all the way back in the low 400s. If you even go on eBay, you are able to find these for like lower 400s, but there's not any crazy deals. But you are able to get them for a little bit under $450. But there's not that many. It's around 450. Well, you're paying a little bit higher sometimes, but Chilling Reign, it's like a box where for some reason, Chilling Reign has sort of been, I don't know, a little bit less popular than like Lost Origin and Fusion Strike. I remember when Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, and Lost Origin were all like $220. Chilling Reign, out of all the boxes, have seemingly just, I don't know, they've sort of it's sort of fallen behind them. Like Lost Origin Fusion, obviously more expensive than Chilling. So Chilling, honestly, if you can find them in the low 400s, which you're not able to for the other boxes, probably not a bad pickup. But yeah, it's around $450 right now. Next is Evolving Skies. So Evolving Skies hit like 2K. Right now, lowest listed is 1900. You look at supply on TCG Player. I think there's a couple more boxes around 1900. Yeah, there's a couple boxes for around 1900 here, as you can see. I mean, $100 price drop is really not much. I mean, it was 2000, now it's 1900. That a big deal. On eBay, you're not really able to find them for that much cheaper. I think this box might have some sort of issue, says read here, but the lowest you're going to find is around 1900. So Evolving Skies, the deals of or the days of finding them for like 1600, it's pretty impossible now. They've all gotten bought out. So Evolving Skies, yeah, it's really not much here. It really hasn't dropped or really gone up since, I guess, the TCG player sale. It's just been pretty just consistent and stable on where it's at. Now next here, Fusion Strike. This one has dipped. I think we all saw Fusion Strike boxes hit like $900. Now lowest listed is at 830. You can see also the sales volume here, since the craziness has dropped off. There's just been a lot more supply, and look at the sales volume. The hype and stuff has sort of gone away. And you can go on eBay and find these for under $800. And before, you were not able to do that. The cheapest boxes were $900 to $1,000. Now there's listings for $800. So it just shows you that obviously market sort of cooled off, because before all those got bought out. Next here, Brilliant Stars. These hit $500, and where are they at now? Lowest listed is $425. You look at recent sales, you can see they've been selling for that amount. So these have dropped what, like 15% from hitting like $500, which is a pretty big price drop from where they're at. I mean, 15% is pretty big in just a few days. But Brilliant Stars, you can see it 425. Like I said, these did hit $500 at one point. If you go see the market, there's a good amount of supply here. Under 500, still on this page, not 500 yet. On this page, it does hit it. So yeah, Brilliant Stars also, has dropped a lot. As you will see, like a lot of these other boxes, they have dropped as well. If you go on eBay, you can find these for around the same as TCG Player, like around 430, 420. And there's a lot of listings now. So you can, if you want to buy now, you have kind of your, pick on these listings because there's a bunch of them and they're pretty much similarly priced, and you can pick a box that's nice and minty. Next here, a big one that has dropped a ton is Astra Radiance. So these at one point like 460, it was very close to hitting 500. It was like 5 boxes away, and then more listed, and then it never hit 500. This listing, I don't know if it's really accurate or not, but if you go and see on, I guess, is it this page? Yeah, I think it's this page. Lowest listed, ignore the other listing. It's $420, and there's a decent amount here listed under 500. A lot more than there used to be. And you look at sales volume as well. Since the TCG Player sale, there's literally been like none basically. And if you also go on eBay, you are able to find these for like under $400. And like I said, they were at like 460 at one point, almost $500. So these ones have also dropped a good amount. The fact that you can find these for under $400 has dropped. Next, Lost Origin. Lost Origin boxes hit $600. Now they're at lower than 550. They're in the lower $500 range. So these have also dropped. Look at sales volume. Since the sale, there's been some sales, right? But still, you can see massive difference between the super hyped up, Sword and Shield thing versus now. And Lost Origin, like I said, hit 600. Look at where it's at. How many boxes till it goes back up to 600. It's not that many, but if you look at sales volume, it has dropped off a lot. So don't see this really going up a ton as well. Just overall, everything has dropped, and sales volume has been weak across all boxes. Now on eBay, there are a couple boxes for like under 550, but there's not that many. Lost Origin is a pretty strong box, so you can't find that many deals for these. But there's a few listings for around 550 or a little bit under, but everything else is closer to $600. Now, lastly here, Silver Tempest. I don't know why this one seller has them for super cheap, but if you do look past that, lowest listed is still around like $340. If you look at sales volume, these have, I guess, been selling a little bit here the past couple days, but at one point these were like 360. These haven't dropped as much. Now lowest is like 340. You go on eBay, you can't really find that many great deals either. Like some of these is really weird. You can find decent deals for, some of them you really can't. Silver Tempest is one of the boxes that you can't really find any deals for. Like these didn't drop as much as like Astra Radiance, for example, because they didn't climb as high. So yeah, Silver Tempest didn't drop as much, but you can just see across the board though, a lot more listings are available now. A lot of the prices have dropped. You're able to find, just Astral under 400, Fusion under 800, and some of the other boxes I mentioned for way under than what they're at before, when the Sword and Shield booster box market was going crazy. So in my opinion, there's just a lot of evidence here that Sword and Shield, the super hyped up thing, it's sort of done, at least for in the near future. And if this does continue, I do think that next couple of weeks to a month, these boxes will slightly dip even a little bit more. I don't think there's gonna be massive dips for any of these boxes, but you're already starting to see a slight dip, because whenever there's huge price movements, usually what falls after that is a slight dip. We saw that last year when Sword and Shield boxes did the same thing when they went crazy. After they went crazy for like a week, a few months after, they slowly dipped. That's why, Chilling Reign, last year hit like 400. They dropped all the way to like 320. Now they're at like 420 or around there. They could possibly drop a little bit under 400. I think that's possible. So if I were you guys, if you didn't buy anything on the run up, during these next probably couple months or few months, if the Sword and Shield booster market doesn't go crazy and prices slightly dip, I think it's going to be the same thing. Be a good time to buy during the dip. Yeah, I think there will be another run up for these boxes. I think honestly, probably towards the end of the year. That's just my opinion. If this market continues to be strong, but I really do think Scarlet and Violet is just showing signs that it's gonna push, rather than the Sword and Shield market. Sword and Shield had its time, but now it's over. I mean, a lot of these boxes went crazy. And I don't think there's a reason or even a realistic expectation that in the near future, in the next few weeks here or a couple months, that these are going to skyrocket again. It just doesn't seem likely. So that's all I want to say here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.